right. Good morning, friends. Good morning, warriors, writers, creatives. Hello. We're just getting set up here. Going through all the technicalities to make sure you can hear me. Perfect. Welcome, morning Steph. If you are here, say hello. Let us know you're here. We'll just do the fun, awkward stall for a couple seconds while we wait for people to hop on. If you're here, welcome. If you have a buddy that you think might enjoy a little writing time this morning, feel free to share. Let them know that you're here. See if they want to come. We're going to do a little bit of yoga. We're going to do some writing, and it's going to be fun. And you're still going to have time to go out and enjoy your Saturday. So that's a win for everyone. And it gets me to get my butt in the chair and also get stuff done. So thank you. So we're just gonna stall a little bit here. No, I'll explain how these mini writing retreats work while we hang out a little bit, let everybody get settled. So we are going to kick off with a quick, generally fairly quick, fairly beginner yoga flow, just to get the body moving, wake up the creative energy, wake up the brain. Maybe you haven't had quite enough coffee yet. Maybe you haven't been up very long. Your body, your brain need to wake up a little bit, because it's really hard to write if all of our energy is just kind of stuck sitting there. So we're going to help it get moving with a quick, generally beginner-friendly yoga flow. Then we are going to write. We will take a minute to adjust here, let everyone get back to their chairs, their desks, wherever they need to go, get some coffee, get some water. And we will write in 3 25-minute writing sprints. I will set the timer. I'll have a prompt up on the screen for you if you need a little extra inspiration. But if you're already working on projects and just need some dedicated time to do that, this is the space. I'll set a timer. After 25 minutes, we'll check in, see how it's going. The chat's always open for anyone that wants to bring up any challenges they're having or just run ideas by each other, throw encouragement. That's what we're here to do. Just help each other, support each other while we are on this writing journey, because it can get crazy. So that's what these sessions are all about. We do them every other Saturday because I know people got things to do on Saturday. You're not always able to sit and dedicate this time. You got games, you got families, you got things. So we do it every other Saturday. Make it a little easier on folks. So we're going to get started. Our yoga flow this morning is going to be mostly on our feet. So you don't need a mat. Don't let that stop you if you don't have the right equipment or the right clothes. If you're still in your pajamas, you can do this. You don't have to have yoga clothes. You don't necessarily have to have a mat this morning either. Most of our flows, you don't have to have a mat as long as you're on a steady, stable surface. Today we're going to be mostly on our feet, so you don't have to worry about knees. If you're on hardwood, it's okay. If I switch it up a little and we end up on our knees, I apologize. I don't think we need to do that. Oh, we will. Just a second. We will have one of our knees down. So I do apologize about that. But so something to protect or pad your knee when it's on the ground, but don't necessarily have to have a yoga mat. Towel, blanket, anything like that works. All right. So let's do it. So we're going to start just by finding our breath, because I've talked a lot, so I'm going to take a moment to slow mine down. finding a nice strong stance, a nice strong posture, because if you've noticed as I'm standing here, I'm kind of just hanging about, moving around. So we're going to start by slowing our bodies, slowing our breath, and creating a nice strong stance to support the rest of our bodies. So plant the feet about hip distance apart. Press all four corners of the feet into the floor, into the mat if you have one. We're just going to work up our bodies. And we'll kind of try to go quickly through this part. Just press into the mat, pulling the knees away from the mat. So almost like you're trying to lift your knees up toward your face or the top of your body. Obviously, they're not going to actually move that way, but it's just a nice way to engage the legs, engage the muscle in the legs. And then moving up toward the center, just pull your belly button kind of in an up and back motion toward the spine. So we're just really engaging that core so that it can support the rest of the body. You can leave your hands down by your side if you'd like, palms facing forward. I'm just kind of following up through our bodies here, and then we'll get to the shoulders, pulling the shoulders down away from the ears, because a lot of the time they end up like this, kind of up near the ears. So just actively pulling those down, maybe pulling the shoulder blades toward each other behind the back. That will open the chest. You might even feel a stretch through the chest if you're not used to really pulling those shoulders, actively pulling those shoulders down and away. And then maybe pulling the top of the head up toward the ceiling, imagining you have a string that's pulling it up to lengthen the neck. And then we'll take one nice big inhale through the nose. And sigh it out through the mouth. Don't be afraid to get loud. Just really let it out. Maybe scare anybody that's around, scare your animals. Do it one more time. In through the nose. And just really loud, dramatic sigh. There you go. And now we're in a nice, strong stance. So even as we're moving, as we're starting to flow, just always being aware of these small postural, active motions. So that belly button back toward the spine, up and back toward the spine is going to be really important. Keeping the shoulders down away from the ears, also important, depending where we are. The feet nice and planted on the ground. So we're going to start moving a little bit here with one of my favorites, kind of just a free-flowing movement. We're just going to start twisting back and forth, letting our hands sway, just moving at the waist, keeping those feet planted, trying to keep even the hip points pointed forward as much as possible. It's going to be really tempting for them to move with you. Keeping them pointed forward, so we're just moving the waist. You can look, move the head with the direction that you're twisting, and you're kind of trying to hit your bum with your hands on either side. So this is what Adriene from Yoga with Adriene calls knocking on heaven's door. I have not looked up to actually see if it's a real thing. I think it is. I think she got it from her mother, who also did yoga, and I just really like it. It really warms up, starts to warm up the body. You can even start to invite a little breath, maybe blowing out through the nose with each little twist, whatever feels good to you. And you can start to speed up or keep it at a pace that's comfortable for you. Again, try and keep those hip points forward, those feet planted. The warm-up is nice because I left the windows open last night and it's pretty chilly in here, but that's okay. It's spring. I'll take a little chill. So just a couple more breaths here. Maybe speed it up to as fast as you can actually go safely. Gazing out over the shoulders as you turn. And then start to slow it down. Don't just stop. Just gradually let the pace Slow down. Couple more smacks on each side before we slowly make our way back to center. And I am going to turn to face the front of my mat. If you're wherever you are, if you're comfortable, you can stay there. And we're just slowing back down. Don't forget to find that breath. And now kind of just find that centered position again one more time. Breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. And of course, if you're stuffy, if allergies are getting to you, breathe however works for you. If you can't breathe through your nose, just breathe through your mouth. Take my instructions with a grain of salt and do whatever works in your body. And we're just going to start to move here a little bit more. We'll raise our arms up toward the ceiling on an inhale. And fold forward on an exhale, letting the hands fall to the mat. Bending the knees as much as you need here in this first fold, even to the point where your chest is pressing against the tops of your legs if you need. Letting the head hang. Sorry if my microphone gets a little muffled here. Nodding the head yes. Shaking it no. Letting the hands fall if they don't touch the mat, wherever feels comfortable. If you need to kind of touch the sides of your legs just for a little bit of support, that works too. And then inhale to a half flat back, hands either on the shins or the thighs if they actually stay on the mat. That works too. Gazing just out in front of you ahead of your mat. Keeping the shoulders back. So this half flat back, you make a kind of 7 shape with your body. And then exhale back into the fold. And inhale, pressing up away from the mat. Reaching up toward the sky. And exhale, hands back towards center. We'll just move through that a couple of times here. Inhale, reach for the sky. Exhale, folding forward. Hands can swipe down through center. Releasing into the fold, and maybe each time your legs get a little straighter, but again, whatever works for you. You're going to get more of a stretch whenever you slowly straighten your legs here. So keep it gradual. And then maybe paying attention to the tailbone, pulling it up toward the ceiling. You'll definitely feel some engagement behind the legs. And inhale. I will pop every single time. All the way back up. Oh, sorry, we didn't do our half flat back. Back down towards center. We'll do it again. Add that back in. So inhale, reach for the sky. Exhale, folding forward. Inhale, half flat back. There we go. Gazing just above the mat. Exhale back into the fold. Inhale, reach for the sky. Maybe gazing up toward the hands if that feels good. Exhale back towards center. Letting the hands maybe rest at center, at heart center. Finding contact between the thumb and the chest. And then we'll do that one more time. We'll add on while we're in the fold here. So inhale, reach for the sky. Exhale to our fold. And now we'll let both hands kind of fall to the mat. Pressing into the mat if you can. If you really need to bend your knees here to get your hands on the mat, let's do that, because then we're going to plant the left foot. So transition your weight into the left foot. And we're going to step back with the right, just all the way back. If you need to adjust a little bit here, that's okay. Find a stable footing. So we're in a runner's lunge here. Fingers can be on the mat or flat, palms on the mat, whatever feels comfortable. Pressing that right heel toward the back of the mat. The left knee is stacked over that left ankle. You can see here. And then that back leg, if you're comfortable here, you can stay here, or you can drop it to the mat or the floor for a little more support. But we're here in our runner's lunge, pressing that right heel back toward the back of the mat, and that could be a good enough stretch for you. Pulling that right hip back to increase the stretch. Keeping the chest open, the shoulders back, and gaze forward. Maybe if you'd like to try lifting the chest away from the knee for just a second and bringing your palms up. But again, that's there's a little bit of balance involved there, just totally up to you. You can drop that right hand to the mat, lifting the left arm up toward the sky, opening the chest toward the left knee. Again, your knee can be on the ground here. Inhale, looking up toward the fingers, reaching the fingertips up toward the sky, opening the chest toward the left knee. And exhale, dropping the hand back to the mat. Now we're definitely going to drop that back knee, so wherever you are, drop that back knee, untuck that right foot, inhale up to a low lunge here, pulling the left hip back. You can keep the hands down toward the side on the waist for a little more support. Dip those hips forward to really increase a stretch through the hips. You can inch that left foot forward if you'd like for a little more of a stretch, whatever feels good here. Left knee still stacked over that left ankle. You can always bring your hands up here if you'd like, if you feel stable. Take an inhale, maybe a little back bend. And exhale. Bring the hands back to the mat in front of you. Untuck or tuck that, come back up to your toes on that back foot. Lift that right knee up off the mat, and we're just going to rock back and forth here. And exhale to bring the right foot up to meet the left, back into our fold. Release. Inhale, half flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, reach for the sky. I didn't pop. Exhale, back down to center. Pause for just a moment to recapture your breath. Inhale. Exhale. And then one more time on the other side. Inhale, reach for the sky. Exhale, folding forward. Maybe your legs are a little straighter. Lifting that tailbone up to the sky. And from here, planting the hands on the mat. Shifting your weight to that right foot. We'll slide or lift that left foot all the way back. Inch it back. Our right knee is stacked over our right ankle. Fingertips kind of on the floor for support. Right knee over right ankle. Did I say that? Pressing the left heel toward the back of the mat now. Chest is open, gazing forward. Can drop that back knee if you need. That feels more stable. Just feeling that nice stretch, hip stretch in your runner's lunge. Drop that left hand to the mat, reaching the right arm up toward the sky, twisting at the waist, opening the chest toward that right knee. Again, knee can be down. Reaching to the fingertips up toward the sky, gazing at that right hand if that feels okay. And exhale, dropping that right hand back to the mat. Dropping that left knee now. Untucking that back toe for support. We'll inhale away from the chest, away from the knee. Coming up into our low lunge. Adjusting however feels good for you. Pull that right hip crease back. Right knee is over right ankle. Move that right foot forward if you want a little more of a stretch, dropping the hips forward. Shoulders are down away from the ears. Inhale and exhale. You can bring the hands up if that feels good. Inhale and exhale. And then on the next inhale, maybe inviting a little back bend. And exhale, drop the hands back to the mat on the either side of that right foot. Lift that back leg up off the mat. Give a little rock here. And bring that left foot up to meet the right. Release into the fold. This will be our last fold, so maybe really let everything hang. Maybe grab the right or the elbows with your hands and just sway back and forth here. Straightening those legs for a nice stretch, lifting the tailbone up toward the sky. Inhale, half flat back. Exhale, back into the fold. And inhale, pressing away from the mat, reaching the arms up toward the sky. Exhale, letting the hands fall down through center, all the way back to the sides, where we will take one more deep inhale through the nose and exhale out the mouth. And that is where we'll leave our yoga practice today. We're not going to do a resting pose because we like to keep the energy kind of moving that we just cultivated, keep the body warm while we go to our writing project. So now we're going to take a second here to transition, get some coffee, get some water, get to your writing station. I'm going to change up my little setup here, and we will start our writing sprints. So take a couple moments, adjust however is needed, and we'll meet back here. I'm going to mute you so I'm not being loud and obnoxious. All right. Let's get ready to write here. Hopefully you're kind of starting to settle back to your writing station, your desk, your couch, your bed, or wherever you want to write this morning. On this kind of gloomy Saturday, at least for me. All right. Oh. Well, I know you can hear me. Just making sure. And yeah, so here we are. We're back. We're gonna write. Hopefully you're feeling good, feeling awake after our little yoga session. So we did some forward folds in that because that helps rush the blood to the brain, and it's a natural inversion actually. So when the heart is above the head, it helps rush blood to the brain and wake it up, help it get moving. So it's a great way to feel invigorated. So if you're just at your desk one day and you need a little bit of a wake up and you don't have time to do a full yoga flow, you can do an inversion, like forward fold, depending on where you are. And depending on your level of embarrassment. If you don't care, just do it in a public place, in a coffee place, in the library, whatever. And maybe somebody else ask you what you're doing and you can spread the news. That forward fold is a great way to wake up the brain when you're trying to write and create. So awesome. If you're here, if you're writing this morning, let me know. Say hey. Let us know you're here. Let us know what you're working on this morning. So I am once again working on edits of my book that will be released October 3rd. My Neverland Adventure. Wink, wink. If you'd like to know more about it, let me know. So I'll be doing that. I am toward the end of kind of some final edits. And then I actually need to go back, decide if I want to play with some descriptions a little bit, add anything else. I have a little bit of time before I need to get it to an editor. And so I can play with it for a little bit longer. So that's what I'm doing. Steph is also, once again, working on edits. They never end. And it's not necessarily always the fun part, but it must get done. So there we are. At least we can support each other while we do it. So we're going to start a timer. Actually, if you need it, I do have a writing prompt. There you go. The city seemed at peace, but I knew the truth. Bum, bum, bum. There you go. If you need a prompt, you can use that. If you're editing, you probably don't need a prompt, but if you're here, if you're working on something, if you're just here to get some words down, use the prompt if you need it. So let's do this. I have our timer up. I will press go. I have it go off for me, so you don't need to worry about how much time has passed, how much time is left. I'll let you know when it's up, and it'll be up on the screen, so you can look if you need to, but you can always stay heads down focused, and I'll worry about the timer. So, all right, here we go. Timer, 25 minutes, starting now.
All right, that is the end of our first writing sprint, first of 3. Let us know how you did in the comments, based on your own judgment. There's no doing well or not doing well. It's just how you felt about it, I guess, is the better question. Made some progress, made some changes, made some small tweaks. I always go through and make kind of small tweaks. I go through and do a pass where I make small tweaks that are easy to just boom, boom. I'll take that word out, take that, do this. And then I mark stuff that I'm going to need to go back and work on later, because I feel like I need to be in a very different place to, like if I need to change up a scene or like add more dialogue here or something like that, I need to be in a different frame of mind or space to actually make the writing changes rather than the quick editing changes. So it's kind of what I'm doing, marking the places that are going to need to be looked at, and maybe I'll do that in another sprint, but just not in the same session, I guess, if that makes sense. So yeah, and I'm happy to give a quick summary of my book. Yaza, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, put a little summary of her own, and it sounds awesome. I would totally read the heck out of that. Steph, feel free to put a little summary of your story in the comments as well. And if you're here, throw a summary of what you're working on in the comments. We would love to hear about it. Mine is a Neverland story, a Neverland adventure. It's called The Lost Girl, a Neverland story. It takes place decades after the events of the movie Hook. It's not necessarily a sequel. You don't have to have seen Hook to understand or enjoy the story. But it is about Peter Pan's great-great-granddaughter who has been given a terminal diagnosis, and told there's nothing else doctors or modern medicine can do for her. So her mother, who grew up with her grandpa Peter, hearing all the stories of Neverland, decides to send her daughter to Neverland, hoping it will save her life. So this is Angela's story about her time in Neverland with pirates and lost boys and all the things, of course, that you find in Neverland, but with a fun little spin. As a lost girl dealing with all these wild, chaotic boys. And she runs into a few surprises too. So that's my book, which I'm very excited about, and will be coming out October 3rd. Steph also has a release date for her book. I'll let her throw any information in the comments she wants to. And I'll throw a link in the comments too. I have a mailing list that you can get on if you want updates, free goodies, behind the scenes stuff. I'm probably actually going to be giving out my prologue, which I nixed from the book, but I'll probably give it out as a little handout. So I'll throw the mailing list link in the comments. So yeah, that's what I'm working on. Really glad to have you hear, Yaza, from the other side of the world. It's just wild to me. I don't know. Time zones, man. I know it's a thing, and just it's weird to me that it is 9 o'clock at night, 10 o'clock at night. Yesterday? Where you are? I don't know. I still don't understand how it all works. But welcome. We're really glad to have you here. Hopefully this works out in the future too. A good writing time for you. I mentioned earlier we do these every other week, every other Saturday. For us, I don't actually know if it's Saturday or Friday for you. Very embarrassing. Anyway, every other week. And just set aside time to write. So we start at 9 o'clock here, our time, which would be 9 o'clock for you, but and do a little yoga flow if you can ever make that. It's tons of fun, but it's super quick. So the focus is writing. So thanks for sharing your project. Thanks for being here. Yes. Dresden Files meets She-Hulk. I like that. I came out with a couple of comparisons for mine that I didn't really love because it's Peter Pan. It already has like a built-in comparison. So Peter Pan is the comp title. I did compare it to, I guess, Lord of the Flies, but anywho, that's mine. I will stop rambling, and we'll get back into another writing sprint. I realize, and I have tried to fix this multiple times, that there is a very large delay between my talking and when you're hearing it. So I try to ask questions and give some time for the answers to pop up in the chat, because there's probably a pretty significant 30-second-ish delay. So I've tried to change my settings and get rid of that. But if you're familiar, if you've been to these before, you know my experience with technology is not always a positive one. So trying to fix that. Anywho, let's get back into the writing. Again, feel free to keep chatting about your projects in the comments. If you have questions, again, we will talk about challenges too that we sometimes face. So if you have any challenges you're kind of button up against in your project, feel free to throw those in the comments as well. Otherwise, we're just going to start our next sprint. We have 2 more, and with a little kind of touch base in between. And yeah, that's the game. That's the format. That's what we do here. And sometimes when I run out of things to say, I just ramble. So we'll just write. So another 25-minute timer on 25 minutes on the clock, starting now. All right. That is the end of our second writing sprint. Second of 3. We'll do one more and wrap up our session for today. Let us know in the comments how you did, how you feel about your progress. If you had any challenges along the way that you want to share, that you want to talk out, feel free to put them there. That's why we're here. I think my biggest challenge is I am cutting words a lot. And my story itself, or my book itself, was already just barely over 50,000 words. So barely novel length. Hanging on to novel status by a thread. And I'm cutting words. I am a flash fiction author at heart, I think. So the more I reread something, the more I'm like, I don't need to say that, don't need that, don't need that. It just does make me worry that it's pretty short. But you know what? I guess if the story's there and it gets told, don't need a lot of extra words and extra fluff to do that. So just trying to come to terms with that. I'm sure there's things I'll go back and add. I have to go back and kind of review some scenes and some dialogue and things. But the more I cut words, the more nervous I get about the length. But c'est la vie, right? I guess I'll put in my author bio that I'm a flash fiction author, and hopefully people will understand. And I think people appreciate a story that's straight and to the point. I know I do. I think sometimes, especially if there's too much description and a lot of extra stuff, I tend to skim over it to get to the bulk, to get to the dialogue, the action, all that stuff. So everybody's different. I suppose the people that like short and sweet and to the point will like my book. So that's my pep talk to myself because of this darn delay. I do feel like sometimes I'm just kind of talking to myself. So, but I know that you're here. Thank you for being here. Losing words. Yep. Tighten up. You know what? I mean, I guess losing words is good if you're tightening up everything. So shouldn't worry about it too much. Just kind of one of the challenges I'm thinking about as I edit. So that's where I am. We're going to do one more sprint. So one more 25-minute sprint, and we'll wrap up the day so you guys can all get to your Saturday or get to bed, depending where you are. Get back to life. That's the point of these sprints, right? We can dedicate time to our creativity and still have time to do life. So there we go. We're gonna push go here on one more sprint. So 25 more minutes on the clock. Again, feel free to keep chatting in the chat if you have answers to things I've asked along the way here, things you want to say, throw them in the chat. And then we're going to get our final writing sprint up on the board, I guess, starting now. So 25 minutes and go. All right, that is the end of our third and final sprint. Thank you all for joining me today. I hope this was productive for you, or whatever that means to you, whatever goals you had in mind for this session. I hope you met them, even if that goal was to just sit down and dedicate some time to your creativity. Then you did it. You were here. You had your butt in the seat. And that is worth celebrating. So good job. Thanks for being here. We will be back not this Saturday, but the next Saturday. Whatever that date is. I don't know off the top of my head, but y'all know the drill. We're here every other Saturday morning, 9 to 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So whether you are just starting out your day or just wrapping up your day, I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day, weekend, whatever that looks like to you. And I hope you find some more time to fight for your creativity. So again, thanks so much for joining. If you haven't yet, make sure to subscribe so you get notified when we go live. And we'll be back in a couple of weeks. And there'll be new videos up every week. So there you go. Thanks again for joining. Have a wonderful weekend, weekday.